He was completing a plumbing job when his worst fears came true.
He had never shown me the process of having to lock up a mortuary. So, I mean, he kind of talked about, yeah, this is going to be the door. But that big dungeon door, that's the one that closed in on me. I was locked in the mortuary for 14 hours, you know?
You were locked in?
Yeah.
Okay, now we have to hear this.
But he claims he was free to go at any time.
He was not locked in. I left him alone to finish the job. It's a big, heavy door. All you have to do is lift it up, put it to the side, open the door.
Today, Judge Alex digs up the truth.
The man deserves a Purple Heart if they give those to plumbers for spending the night among the living dead at your mortuary.
And it wasn't necessary. The door could open. I don't know if he wanted to stay
Whatever.
there.
I assure you, if he knew that, he wouldn't have chosen to nap there for the night.
As a cop, he stood up for the law. As a trial lawyer, he fought for the truth. And as a criminal court judge, he commanded authority. Now, he returns to preside over America's courtroom. Real cases, real people, real judge. Judge Alex. Kenneth Kenyon Tarr is suing his former friend Sean Nicholson for $1,137 for an unpaid plumbing bill after a night of being locked in Sean's mortuary. With him in court today is his friend and witness, Michelle Nunez. But Sean claims Kenyon was only an acquaintance and not a close friend, and is charging him for hours he didn't work. He also asserts that Kenyon locked himself in the mortuary overnight.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Alex Ferrer presiding.
Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Tarr, you are a plumber.
Yes.
And you're suing your former friend, Mr. Nicholson, for a plumbing repair that he didn't pay you for and also for damage to your tools.
Yes, Your Honor,
Okay.
that's correct.
And Mr. Nicholson, you say that you didn't pay him for the plumbing repair because he never completed the job, so you don't owe him anything, and you're certainly not responsible for any damage to his tools.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Let's start at the beginning, sir.
Okay. Well, I've known Sean since the second grade. We played baseball together on the same little league team. Our families are very close. I got into the plumbing business about 13 years ago.
Well, back then you were friends?
Yeah, good friends.
Acquaintances.
Acquaintances.
Oh, okay. Well, I consider
Good friends versus acquaintances.
We knew each other growing up.
I guess we've grown apart a little bit through the
Okay,
years.
so we knew each other growing up.
You knew each other. Okay.
I think he was like my best friend, to be honest. But I mean,
You think he was your
that's
best
neither here nor there. He's not paying me on a bill now, so I don't know how good of a
Okay.
friend he is. You know.
All right.
But
You think he's your best friend and he thinks you passed each other in school in the hallway. Okay. So, did he ever do any plumbing work for you before this?
In the past, he had. When he had started out, he actually did some service for free. I think it was just like a drain unclogging. He said he used like a little snake.
He did
since
service.
2009, I
He
did.
did services for you for free?
Yeah, he did a unclogging of a drain with I think he called it a snake device or something, and it didn't take long, and he helped me out. Again, we were acquaintances.
This acquaintance doesn't charge you for plumbing repairs?
I think that shows my friendship, doesn't it?
That's interesting. How many times did he do stuff at a discount or for free?
I did some things twice. Once at the mortuary, once at my home.
Okay.
And both times were free?
No, one time I think I may have given him $50
You're
or so.
on.
Take it.
Hold on. I'm interested in this thread here. So he did one repair for you for free, and the other repair, I don't know a plumber who does anything for $50 other than return your phone call. But the other one at your mortuary, he did something and only charged you $50. And he's only an acquaintance?
I gave him a dinner. I bought him a 12-pack of beer, I think.
Who buys dinners for acquaintances?
Well, again, we knew each other.
And by the way, I got to tell you, I don't know any morticians who bury people for free. So why don't pay your bills, will you?
Right.
Everybody has to pay you.
Right?
Okay. So I guess because you had dealings with him before, you went to him when you had some kind of problem. What problem were you having at the mortuary?
Basically, the pipes were kind of clogged up. He went and took a look at it.
Was it all over the mortuary? Or
It's a drainage system. It's also the toilets, and it was our drainage system.
Your Honor, he hired me to work in July at the mortuary, and he has to get things up to passing inspection. He has to get drainage put in. They remove bile. They remove a lot of different. I don't like death. I'm scared of death to begin with. When I was a little kid, I had an experience with death, and I'm just to go to the mortuary.
Well, what experience did you have with death? Clearly, it wasn't your own.
I was watching. I was with my great aunt.
Your great aunt.
Yeah, and she was an older lady, and we were watching the old television show Hunter, and she passed away on the couch as we were watching it in front of me, and it's not good.
How old were you?
I was 7.
7 years old, and your great aunt died right next to you?
Yeah, so I figured I might as well take a job at a mortuary now for money. I'm mature. I'm an adult. I can deal with this. But the first 2 days, I gotta say,
it really doesn't seem like you're dealing with it well now.
Oh, I'm not, because I was locked in the mortuary for 14 hours, you know?
You were locked in?
Yeah.
Okay, now I have to hear this.
Okay, I'm not dealing with it too good. Yeah, you're right.
He's not locked in.
All
I
right,
left
so
him alone to
let
finish
me
the job.
figure out what happened here.
Okay.
You get hired by your acquaintance.
Right.
Okay. To do a repair at the mortuary because what problem is he having?
The toilets were just not up to code, and they have an inspection, and there was 2 that were overflowing, 2 that had backed up problems.
Coming up, is Kenyon in for a long night?
11.
It's
Right. Okay.
Coming up, is Kenyon in for a long night?
11:05. I pack up my tools. But then I'm starting to clink around, and it's pitch black. There's a light timer because you can't have the bodies deteriorating in the light.
Oh, wait a minute. You're not in there alone. You're in there with dead bodies.
And later, has Judge Alex is back with a case of Kenyon Tarr, who's suing his former friend Sean Nicholson for $1,137 for an unpaid plumbing bill after a night of being locked in Sean's mortuary. But Sean claims Kenyon was only an acquaintance and not a close friend, and is charging him for hours he didn't work. He also asserts that Kenyon locked himself in the mortuary overnight.
You went over there to do the repair.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Okay, the first 2 days, repair goes pretty smooth. He's playing really loud, heavy metal music though in the morgue, and I'm trying to do like my work and just plumbing's like not the coolest job in the world. I try to do my best,
So he's playing heavy metal music while he's embalming dead bodies?
And I think it's a little bit like...
You're the only one he's going to bother, to be honest. So
right.
You're not usually there.
And, I don't... First of all, this plays into it later because I can't even get good cell phone usage in there. And so when I get locked in there, it's a dead zone. It's a bunch of dead bodies everywhere.
All right, let's go step by step. You're in there working, doing the work for his mortuary for a couple of days. Everything's going fine.
Yeah.
How does he end up at your mortuary by himself?
Well, first of all, the couple of days is well more than it was supposed to take. He told me I had him go down because some pipes were clogged up. We're having some problems overflowing, as he mentioned. He said he determined, they're rusted out, they're old. I mean, it is an old building. He said we should get some new pipes in.
Do you have a picture of your mortuary in it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let me just take a look at what we're talking about here.
Rip all the time.
See, if this was just like a house, it would be really cool. But now that I know it's a mortuary, it's just kind of creepy. So you're in there working, and you say it's taking him too long because he was really not supposed to take that long. So what happens?
Originally, he said that he was going to replace the pipes. He had some left over from another job. Again, one of the things I'm thinking he's doing for free. I said I'm going to refer him. My
Parts
clients.
cost money.
Okay, understood. I thought I had left over
How
from a
does he
job.
end up alone with you gone?
Okay, well, basically the third day, it was a Saturday afternoon. He said he'd definitely get it taken care of, finished up this day. And I was there with him. I was doing business myself. I had plans to meet and have dinner and drinks with some friends. I said, go ahead, finish. You could close it up. Not a big deal. And so I left him there.
Yeah, he had never shown me the process of having to lock up a mortuary. So, he kind of talked about, this is going to be the door. But that big dungeon door, that's the one that closed in on me. There was a bunch of other options.
Well, tell me what happened.
I was trying to leave it at the end of the day, Your Honor. It was about 11:05. I pack up all my tools. And then I'm starting to clink around, and it's pitch black. There's a light timer because you can't have the bodies deteriorating in the light.
Oh, wait a minute. You're not in there alone. You're in there with dead bodies.
Two.
Oh, okay, this is getting creepier by the second.
Yeah, it really is.
So it's just you. It's just you at night in a mortuary with all the dead bodies.
Yeah, with 2 that I know of. There's things, there's storage tanks. I'm not trying around. I'm not trying to walk around and find out any more information than where I can sit and be comfortable and not look at like a body rising out. You start seeing things in the middle of the dark.
Coming up, was Kenyon truly spooked out, or was it all in his head?
3 in the morning, I finally start getting some.
What was that?
For 14 hours.
Or the of tricks does your mind play?
Oh, hey, great aunt. How you doing? I didn't know you were getting involved here, you know? There's things, you know, there's storage tanks. I'm not trying around. I'm not trying to walk around and find out any more information than where I can sit and be comfortable and not look at, like, a body rising out. You know, you start seeing things in the middle of the dark.
Coming up, was Kenyon truly spooked out, or was it all in his head?
3 in the morning, I finally start getting some sleep, and then, you know, you can't hear anything. You feel like you're, like, underground or something like that, and then...
And it's pitch black.
Yeah, and, you know, your mind starts playing tricks on you.
So what kind of tricks does your mind play?
Oh, hey, great aunt. How you doing? I didn't know you were getting involved here. Yeah.
It's time for America to vote on today's case. Who do you think I'm going to rule for? The plaintiff
I was locked in the mortuary for 14 hours.
or the defendant?
He was not locked in. I left him alone to finish the job.
Call toll-free 1-800-282-2333 to vote now. Plaintiff
I was locked in the mortuary for 14 hours.
or the defendant?
Worst night ever.
I bet your luck. Tonight at 6 on My 13.
Next week on Judge Alex, this barber just didn't cut it.
There comes a time when you have to... That's like saying...
854-7303 or log on to judgealex.com. Judge Alex is back with a case of Kenyon Tarr, who's suing his former friend Sean Nicholson for $1,137 for an unpaid plumbing bill after a night of being locked in Sean's mortuary. But Sean claims Kenyon was only an acquaintance and not a close friend, and is charging him for hours he didn't work. He also asserts that Kenyon locked himself in the mortuary overnight.
The bottom line was, you were done for the night?
I was done for the night, right around 11:15, trying to get out of there.
So it's already dark out?
Yeah, and
what
my
do you
shoes
do?
are on the ground. And Genius here has drainage issues in the place. There's drainage hoses going, I don't know what they do, they siphon out liquids from the bodies.
It's more than I need.
I tripped and, sorry, there's just liquid and it gets all over some of my tools. I still have this, it's not formaldehyde, it's this other chemical.
Yeah, but what is it that you do? Because you said you got locked in. How'd you get locked in? Well, you were leaving and what happened?
I was trying to, okay, you get locked in because there's like that, there's the dungeon door, there's the heavy door, and he thought that he lit the other one, but he locked it from the outside before he left.
So you went through
That's
the
not
door.
true. The door was not locked.
Let me get his version first. Again, you went through this door,
Yeah,
and the door closed behind you.
exactly. That huge dungeon door closed behind me.
And once it closed behind you, you couldn't go back through.
No, because he's got like security.
So are you now in a room with these dead bodies?
Yeah.
And you're locked in there.
Yeah, and then I found a little area where I could get away from the dead bodies, kind of by like this little bench area where I kind of just perched for it. I don't even call it sleeping. I just perched.
In like the fetal
6'5".
position.
I can't really sit on a stool, you know.
And are you? And you said the lights go out
The lights are completely
because you're on a timer.
Yeah.
So now you're in pitch black in a room with dead bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
Locked in.
Yeah.
All night.
And here we are, and I'm still wondering where the money is for this whole experience. I mean, it's, what am I in this horrible situation for first? But,
Just out of curiosity, when you're locked in a dark room with no light, with dead bodies, it's just you and them, how good of a night's sleep do you get?
Very, very bad. I can't get the cell phone. I usually listen to the radio anyway. I can't get anything. I can't get any kind of contact. My cell phone runs out of battery because I'm not expecting I'm going to be there all night. I don't bring my charger. And then at 3 in the morning, I finally start getting some sleep. And then, you can't hear anything. You feel like you're like underground or something like that. And then...
And it's pitch black.
Yeah, and your mind starts playing tricks on you.
So what kind of tricks did your mind play?
Oh, hey, great aunt. How you doing? I didn't know you were getting involved here, you know? Just anything you
When
can...
do you find out that he's locked in? I mean, well, first of all, you're locked in the entire
I
night.
panicked most of the night, to be honest. I didn't want to be all weird and start crying about it. I wanted to get out of there, and I couldn't figure out what to do. So,
Did you get all weird and start crying about it?
I did. I definitely did. I'm not proud to admit it.
I can totally see that being justified. So you're there until the next morning? Yeah, you're locked in.
Yeah, it was like about 11 a.m. I think he comes back over. And,
so tell me about the next morning, sir.
Well, first of all, he was not locked in.
Well, why does he think he was?
It's a big, heavy door. There's a latch. When you close it, it's kind of like spring-loaded, like a bolt action kind of thing. But all you have to do is lift it up, put it to the side, open the door.
And is the door like swollen where you have to pull on it pretty hard? Or
it may get stuck from time to time. It's a big door. It's an old building, but it certainly wasn't locked. I had no problem getting in there. I haven't fixed it to this day because there's no problem with that door.
So with all the screaming and crying, he probably didn't give it all full effort?
Exactly. Maybe he had a panic attack or something. I don't know. But certainly the door is functional. I can assure you of that.
I tried to break out the best I could.
So what do you mean you used your tools to try to break out?
I shattered this Wilder's wrench and I was banging it against, and I was trying to pry it open with anything I could.
So you're sitting there in the dark with your tools trying to smash the lock on the
I broke this like high-duty plungers. I mean, I was going to get rid of it anyway because it was all formaldehyde.
Coming up, has this experience closed the casket on this friendship?
So the next morning, was he empathetic?
Yes, but he was
still okay. I took him to breakfast the next morning. He was all freaked out.
I can't imagine he wanted to eat the next morning. So why haven't you paid him?
Wow.
Messy.
What is your name?
Michelle?
Come on up, please. I don't know what your involvement is. Who are you?
I'm this friend. I've known him for a long time.
Okay.
So I know his fear with deaths. Okay, and he had told me about this whole job, and I was talking to him. I'm like, just go. You gotta man up, you know. Just you can do it, you know. And so he's like,
So you're the one responsible for this?
not really.
All right. So
But-
how was he when he told you the story?
Okay, well, he's telling me, like, you know, I need this money, I'm gonna go do this job. And I was like, okay, you know, he went the first 2 days. On the third day, he's like, man, this is my last day. He called me, you know, he's like, I'm just so, like, just being around the dead bodies, you know. And I'm like, it's okay, just, you can do it. All right. I didn't hear from him, like, the whole night, and I was just like, okay, whatever. He didn't call me, because, you know, we're in contact, like, every day. And then, like, the next day, he just calls me freaked out.
Yeah.
And just mad, and he's just like, oh my god, he's like, I got locked up in the mortuary overnight.
So he was totally freaked out.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you can have a seat, man. Thank you. So when you spoke to Mr. Nicholson the next day, in fairness, he didn't know you were locked in. I'm sure if he knew you were locked in, he would have run over and let you out.
I agree with that.
He'd probably do that for a friend. I'm not sure he'd do that for a
I
friend.
agree with you, Your Honor. If he knew the circumstances, Your Honor, I believe he would have helped.
Okay. So the next morning, was he empathetic?
Yes, but he was
Still okay. I took him to breakfast the next morning. He was all freaked out.
I can't imagine he
He
wanted
acted
to
like
eat
everything was
next
okay,
morning.
basically. I mean, like, hey, man, like,
So why haven't you
you're
paid him?
done now? Like,
Well, first of all, he never provided me a legitimate invoice.
What invoice did he provide you?
He spoke to me in passing about, you know, how many hours and staying overnight and damage and things, and he's talking about thousands of dollars for something that, you know.
Do you have an
again,
invoice?
I had this deleted July 24th.
Let me see. When did you do the work?
July 14th, it was completed.
Of 2012?
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
generally with my clients, we have net 30 or net 60-day terms anyway. It's not something that, I don't know his business, you have to pay up front, but he certainly didn't provide me anything legitimate. He was
Wow.
talking about,
So when you bury people, do you give them net 30, net 60? Do they get to pay you down the road?
they sometimes we could work something out. They do give us the deposit up front, but
Most of the time, you get it all up front.
mostly, yes.
So it's $1,100 for a plumber who worked there for 3 days.
Well, and again,
It's been $3,400 on the open market. I know that at least because I did do some of the
again,
extra
for
stuff.
him to consider this was even a 3-day job is ridiculous.
I
The
get
amount of time we
$22
actually spent in there over those 3 days.
I've had plumbers change my fixtures and charge me this much money.
Joe
And
Schmo
this
called me.
guy,
I charged him $42 an hour.
and this guy is charged you this much for 3 days of work in fixing your plumbing system, and you don't think it's reasonable? I think you got spoiled with the free jobs. In fact, I think he went above and beyond. A man deserves a Purple Heart if they give those to plumbers for spending the night among the living dead at your mortuary.
And it wasn't necessary. The door could open. I don't know if he wanted
Okay,
to stay
whatever.
there.
He
with
did,
him.
I assure you, if he knew that, he wouldn't have chosen to nap there.
I don't
for
know
the
if
night.
he's got some fantasy about living in there or
I'm
anything.
pretty sure that's not the case. So the bottom line is, you owe. I mean, the plumbing work seems like everything he listed on here seems like it should be a lot more than the $1,137 that he is suing for. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,137, and maybe now the two of you can actually become real friends instead of acquaintances. It's nice meeting you folks.
All right.
Judge Alex has ruled in favor of the plaintiff and has ordered the defendant to pay him $1,137.
If I was proposed to take another job at a mortuary, I would have to charge a lot more, probably significantly raise my rates as opposed to giving them a discount, and then I would probably consider that.
The door was not locked that night. It's a big, heavy door. It's an old door, but certainly he's a handyman. He's a big guy. I think he can operate a door. I don't know why he panicked and, flipped out and couldn't open it. I certainly never had a problem myself. He's a much bigger guy than I am. It hasn't been fixed or resolved because it wasn't broken.